So look, we got a picture of rural, or I guess it's industrial idle,
Idle.
Iddle. There we go. That's a good start, isn't it? We got a picture of rural Iddle here, which is the banks of whichever river flows through the town of Ironbridge.
Don't know.
And
Good point.
just have to look that up, Dave. You can do the looking up.
I'm
But,
doing that now. Let's have a look.
yeah, let's see which one it actually is. This is great historical research, isn't it? But in this video podcast thing, we're going to have a chat about our trip up to and around the competition that was held in Irvine, Skiing Do, quite recently. Which
Explain what Sigian Duh is.
Skiing Do, yeah, Skiing Do is a dagger, isn't it? It's the kind of dagger that you keep under your kilt. Is that what they're called?
It's the little dagger you keep in your sock when you're wearing a
sock, not your sporran. Your sock.
It's part of the sporran kit, I suppose. Yeah,
it's part of the sporran kit. Okay, so
no Scotsman wears a kilt without his Sigian Duh.
Without his Sigian Duh and his socks. So, but the thing about Sigian Duh was that it was in Irvine, which is a teeny, well, more of Irvine later. But the key thing is it's a bloody long way from London. So in terms of heading up there, we drove up there and decided to try and add some military wargaming holiday type stuff on the way, which meant I think I picked you up about 5 o'clock. Working from home.
Yeah, sure.
Working from home day, and we pegged it up the M40, got north of Birmingham, and headed up the M54 to find somewhere to stop overnight for a few beers and things like that. And Ironbridge kind of seemed a good spot to do so.
On the River Severn.
On the River Severn. This goes all the way to Nottingham then. So there's a wargaming theme there as well.
And then down to Bristol, I suppose, yeah.
Oh, Bristol's the Severn, and it's the Trent, isn't it? Nothing. God, it's too early in the morning.
Sunday morning. It's Sunday morning.
Yeah. But Ironbridge was a lovely place actually. There were so many brown signs for museums of industrial heritage and all the rest of it, none of which we were in time to go and see at all. But we did manage to. We were staying in a brew house pub that had a very large kind of barbecue type menu and quite a range of interesting beers as well. The oldest licensed brewery, 1642, a pint of 3 tons from the Bishop's Castle, got necked down. And then there weren't actually that many other pubs open, were there? Was this August or July? Yeah, we got a couple in, but we had to walk a bit further than we thought to do it. And
the bridge was good.
Yeah, the bridge is amazing.
It's a gorge. It's the original, as it sounds, Iron Bridge, where they started smelting metals and that. So I've been there as a kid. I think I've been there when I was about maybe 5 or 6 years old.
Wow,
that's one lifetime ago.
Yeah, indeed. No, it's fabulous evening as well, isn't it? Look at that sky.
Good weather.
Bridge, yeah, beautiful night, and the bridge came up very, very well. And it was just almost like the whole town was one of those heritage museums. You're expected to see people walking around in period costume from pre-Peaky Blinders, I guess.
I think the whole area, the whole sort of region's been transferred into a sort of like industrial heritage museum. It's the whole place. It's not a load of individual museums. It's a whole. No. You can buy a ticket for everything in one go and just tour around. So
yeah, it was like one of those things. You think we should go back here. It's not just a place to stop for a pint. And they did a pretty solid breakfast as well, I think. In terms of wargamers rate my breakfast.
I don't think I've ever stayed in a pub with wooden beams before.
No, it was pretty historic, but decent sausage, good bacon, hash browns for a bit of modernity as well, and a slightly fancy mushroom, and a proper tomato, not tinned, which I think there's an argument that tinned tomatoes might be better, but I'm not sure I subscribe to it.
I'm a tinned tomatoes type of person.
Oh, you are? Okay.
I am indeed, yeah.
Right. So this was slightly disappointing for you on the breakfast front.
No, it was brilliant. It was a great breakfast. I mean, I enjoyed it. like I
Yeah,
say, going to somewhere where you've got vague memories of being there when you were a
yeah,
child is always good fun, isn't it?
yeah, yeah. That's good. But the good thing about Ironbridge from our point of view is that the next morning it's about 10 minutes or 10 minutes after you've started digesting this breakfast and checked out from RAF Cosford Museum, which is the not the northern, the Midlands branch of the RAF Museum in Hendon, which I've been around quite a few times, and I've never made it to Cosford. And it was a bloody miserable day, wasn't it? By the next day, it was absolutely spinning it down. But
Yeah.
that did make it a good day for chugging around the inside of a big old shed, and
They're very, very, very large sheds.
very, very, very large sheds. And I thought it was actually it was. I thought it was going to be kind of sort of a small offshoot of Hendon, but actually it was maybe it's getting on for being as big, and it was more modern in terms of its layout. I thought it was a very, very well presented thing. So you're going all the way from
I haven't been to Hendon since I was a child as well. I keep saying I must go and have a look at
no,
Hendon. I
well,
thought
maybe we should have a team outing because it's
yeah,
I end up always taking nephews and other people
yeah.
around it because it's
My memory
free.
of Hendon was this: it's not very big. I thought this place was huge in comparison, but
No,
maybe
Hendon's pretty big and it's got a lot of stuff packed in, but it's kind of not been it's almost not been reorganized since the 80s, I think. Hendon it sort of stops there, but this one looked like it had been hit with the more modern museum um, stick, which I think was better. But nice nice desert coloured 109 with
yeah.
slightly
Gustav,
long,
I think. Should we get
yeah,
certificated?
yeah, slightly long tongue.
109G
Yes, G2, in fact.
with the
There it was.
pointy nose.
Ah, okay, that's the secret way of doing it. And so, yeah, you pop back. Yeah, but great Nick. All good stuff. Not too tight.
Nice,
This was just
nice First World War planes. Sopwith Pup.
yeah,
Sopwith.
yeah,
I'm just looking through my phone. The other
yeah. Your photos as well. There was so many, and this was a Spitfire Mark One, if I remember correctly. Like one of the so you've
yeah.
got the
And
early
got
109.
Gladiator.
Yeah, maybe see what it's. So this is a Spitfire Mark One. So this
Yeah.
was the oldest surviving Spitfire in the world, which
Okay.
you it's sort of up front and centre. You think they make maybe a bit more of a big deal of it, but then again, it's a Spitfire, so it's just inherently cool, really, isn't it?
I've got it
And
here, yeah.
yeah,
Oh, this says
decent in the
accumulated trolley. I don't know what that is.
accumulated trolley. Who knows? Um, and there it was, Engineering Heritage Award. That's what it's won. But then,
Hurricane in a sort of grey and
yeah,
olive colours,
yeah.
which is quite funky.
But then this was the Polish. Is it
Fairy Battle. Is it
Berry
Fairy
Battle? No, isn't this the Bolton Port
Bolton?
Defiant
Yeah,
night
that's
fighter?
right. The Bolton Night Fighter. That's right.
Yeah, yeah, it must have been flown in the
With
with the
no
little
guns
Polish.
firing forward and just the turret with the 4 machine guns in the back.
Yeah, that's an idea that didn't really last the test of time, did it? Particularly, but there was some completely bonkers stuff all in there as well. This was proper Thunderbirds thing, wasn't it? It was the Fairy Delta. When Britain used to make everybody, there used to be hundreds of companies making airplanes in the 1950s and stuff like that, and just submitting them to the RAF, and the RAF were going, yeah, we'll have a couple of
I
dozen of
ended up
those.
taking a bunch of photos of all these weird models.
Yeah, I've got some of those coming up later. I think it's
Total Dan Dare.
yeah, but there you go. There's your rearward fighting guns as well on
Yeah.
that one. And then this we all thought, or we both thought this was a Typhoon, but actually this is a proto Typhoon. This was the almost the pre Typhoon test aircraft that became the Typhoon.
Okay, yeah. I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, because there was quite a lot of test bed aircraft in there, which I guess a lot of the manufacturing was around the Midlands, wasn't it? So maybe that's part of why that whole industrial heritage thing that's the same with Ironbridge is there. But you get some real one-offs at this place from an experimenter. So this was a mock-up was shown at Farnborough in 1982. So I suppose that's 40 years ago, though, isn't it? Which is kind of weird because you think of the Typhoon as being reasonably state of the art, but yeah, 40 years ago, that's That's just showing how old we are, really, isn't it? And then the
I'm not
wonderful
really one to
TSR2.
keep up to date on modern stuff.
No,
No,
no.
isn't that a European fighter, or is it?
No, this is the TSR2, which nearly bankrupted the RAF. This was the.
That's fantastic. That's enormous.
It's
The bomber.
huge, isn't it? Absolutely. You can see all the electronics down the side. They've got the panel up, and
Yes, that was hilarious.
really, really amateurish. I always get fascinated by these things when you kind of zoom in, and it's just still rivets and stuff, which is
You beat me to it. I was going to mention the rivets. The rivets.
yeah.
Are,
And this is like supposed to be one of the fastest things ever and the most advanced aircraft or it was going to be super cool with these drop little wings and things like that. But beautiful piece of kit. But I think only one ever flew for 1 or 2 test flights, and then they junked it. Was this when they were thinking that it was all just going to be missiles rather than aeroplanes, perhaps?
well,
I think it was supposed
Britain
to
was
be
ahead of the game at this point, wasn't it? There was that.
yeah,
I don't know. Is it blue steel? What was the rocket?
steel missiles, standoff things, all sorts of stuff. So no, but it's great to be able to see one of those mad things. There can't be too many of those around. And yeah, all these were. There was 2 displays of these, and they've all got bonkers. There you go. There's one of yours, the Saunders Road. But you look at these things. These were models of that one. Look at that
No,
one.
yeah, the models were crazy. There's some.
Bristol. That was it. Is that intakes on the wing or something?
Well, there's the one which has got all the rockets attached to its fuselage.
Yeah.
Love it and that. But they, like I said, it's Dan Dare to me. It's that sort
It
of.
really was Dan Dare. But companies, Bristol, English Electric, Fairey, Saunders Road, they were just making these things and hoping that the RAF would say yes to them. And the idea that there's multiple companies making airplanes like this, the avionics inside must have just been nothing, because otherwise they'd all have the same bits, wouldn't they? But how can you just complete Dan Dare nonsense, wasn't it? This isn't a Harrier. This is another experimental one. This is the pre-Harrier, the Kestrel, that was used to test
Right, yeah.
Harrier stuff. So you've got another bit of proper history there with that one. And then you end up with a load of going back to the Second World War with the
Focke-Wulf 190.
No, that's a 262. It's the jet fighter.
Yeah, no, the Messerschmitt. I've got that. I mean,
yeah.
There's the Messerschmitt 262. Then there was a Focke-Wulf 190, which is really nice.
No, the Focke-Wulf 190 comes up a bit later, I think. But the 262 is just well, even though it is still got some quite big rivet holes and things, you would think if you're going quite fast that some of this stuff would start to rip off, really. But
it does look a bit dented and patched together, doesn't it?
Exactly. Actum.
It kind of accentuates the fact that it's so far ahead of its time in so many.
But it's full of little dents and dings. I wonder, you think you'd kind of want it to be smooth, but yeah, even the rows of rivets and if I was doing that on a kit,
rattling.
If I was doing that on a kit, I'd filled it. I would have filled that with some filler. And this was I can't remember which one this was. There was loads of these. This the Lincoln, I think.
Oh yeah, they're huge,
enormous,
with strange blue props.
Yeah. How tiny, just a huge beast. There we go. So this was in operation till 63. Just crazy, isn't it? Electronic warfare and counter. Well, I suppose the signals piece. It's just flying with
fleet air on it.
Yeah. And this was the Tempest, I think, rather than Typhoon. I think the Typhoon is the one with the bigger nose. Because everything is starting to get jumbled in. And a Mosquito, which it looks like this one may have got some victories actually.
There's a Pathfinder one, wasn't it? The bomber.
I think it probably was. There we go. Have I got the? There we go. This is a late. Oh no, this is a bomber variant, so it never really got shot at particularly. But was even being flown in the 50s. Well, but that's still 10 years afterwards. But how much stuff comes on, isn't it? Part of Pathfinder. Everybody loved that. There's your 190, isn't it? That's just such a a cool paint scheme, but very, very difficult to do at small scale, I think. That's always the challenge.
Somehow the Germans had the better paint schemes, didn't they?
Yeah, and it's different, isn't it? So these always come in this paint scheme, and then other ones have sort of different paint schemes, don't they? Whereas we just seem to have one paint scheme for everything. Ish.
There's a lot. There was not much duck egg blue in the British planes. I found. I thought
No.
there was duck egg. I don't know. I just seem to remember painting duck egg blue all the time and not seeing any duck egg blue. Everything black and.
Yeah, maybe they ran out of that very, very big pot of Humbrol enamel.
Exactly.
Maybe it all got saved post-war use, or maybe the Germans bought up the world supply for it. Or something.
Yeah, exactly.
And a rather battered V2, but yeah, how does this get quite so battered? Because clearly it wouldn't actually have been fired at anyone. It must have been captured.
I imagine just not moving it around on the back of flatbed trucks.
Yeah. Unless it was just, well, I suppose maybe it was it was literally a one-shot weapon. Maybe it just got built and it didn't really matter.
The quintessential black and white thing.
Yeah. Again, why would you bother painting it like that? I don't know.
I think that was because they could see, when they took pictures of it, they could see which way it was turning, and that, wasn't it? It was all to do with the camera.
Okay, so they could make sure they were actually working properly and heading for the right direction. And then
yeah.
And again, a lot of duck egg blue, but I suppose you got your Spitfires and Hurricanes trying to tip these over, didn't you? So they had to have a degree of camouflage in them. And then this was almost the most weird one. This was the one we were trying to work out what it was. So it was some twin engine thing, but it
what, the really, German night fighter?
But this wasn't the night fighter. The night fighter is the one with, this was the day fighter, I think, and it had something I've never seen before, and it was this was the ME410 A1U2 Hornisse day bomber destroyer, which gave up.
Yeah.
And but it's an airplane I'd never seen before. It's supposed to be replaced. The 110. I think everybody's tried to make that kit, and it has just too much glass in the front, and when you're only 12, you end up with glue all over the fingers on it. But yeah, it's very odd one. Never really seen that before at all. But yeah, lack of maneuverability is not a good thing in a day fighter, I wouldn't have thought. But loads of stuff underneath it. There it is, and it's just such a weird bug-like shape, wasn't it?
Indeed.
Very odd. Very odd. And that was the night fighter one. I think this is the 88. But
Younger 88. That's a weird one, because there was lots of different versions of that one.
Yeah. Was this the one that that defected, if I remember correctly? Was that the story?
What's that?
I think this one flew to Scotland, and the crew defected, and that's how the Allies captured it.
Yeah.
I think that rings a bell.
That's when they flying the wrong direction, and they landed at the wrong. They got lost and landed in a British aerodrome, thinking they were back.
That was it, and then it was like, unlucky, sir.
Oops.
Oops. I think we'll have all this night fighter radar tech at the front end. And then this is this Halifax, or Stirling or something?
No, that was Wellington, isn't it?
Wellington, of course.
Yeah.
The two-engine
one. Wallace designed.
Yeah, and there was that big board showing how many of each aircraft had been in use. And
yeah, that was quite good.
It was just astounding, the numbers, wasn't it? How that they produced to these big old things.
Showing the sort of going from Wellington to Manchester to Hampden.
Yeah, just drifting across. This must have been the most lucky Lancaster doing 130 sorties, which is which are nearly all 10 hours long on average. That's not far off of that, is it? In a year and a half. So that's what, flying every 3 days, dropping quite a lot of bombs. And that was the back end of this thing. This only fired backwards, didn't it? This one with that weird gun in it. I think that's this was the buggy one that we were talking about at the start, not the night fighter. It just had guns that fired backwards and sideways, but because that's in in a kind of little thing that moves up and down. So somebody must have been sat in there looking at it shoot backwards with the rear fighting guns. Whereas that one's just got windows down the side. Yeah, the Wellington. Yeah, most numerous aircraft in 42, and then let's just go 4 engines. Then we got into the modern hall after a bit of a run across the deck, and
the second shed,
the second big shed, yeah, with its complete collection of V bombers.
And things hanging from the roof.
Oh, this was like the biggest toy box ever. This was a modern display that had been put together in a completely modern building.
Really impressively hung. I think is the only way you can
impressively hung. Yeah, curated maybe, but this is a custom.
There's a saber upside down.
Yeah, there's some fabulous stuff.
Yeah, it's just bizarre, wasn't it?
But it's like everywhere. But to have the Victor and the Valiant as well. I think this is the Valiant, isn't it?
Yeah.
The Victor's the one with the glass at the front. Have all 3 of them. I think it's the only place that's got all 3. And but you can just start to see the little bits in the corner of the other cool stuff. Even some tanks in an air museum.
Yeah.
The Centurion going on. Photograph from a Canberra. Fans of RAF Luton will know that. But then that's part of the Victor. That's the Valiant. God knows what that is up the top there. Polish MiG-15. The Polish Air Force must have done so well getting rid of all their old kit to museums around the world when they kind of left after the fall of the Iron Curtain. Everybody's got some of these knocking around, and they're always in Polish colours, which I guess is more politically correct than putting them in Russian colours, maybe. And then there was an F-111 snuck in as well.
Yeah.
Which I don't think they got one of those at Hendon.
Simon's dad used to fly, didn't he?
Yeah, Simon's dad used to fly those, and yeah, for the Australians. And then I think that, the only other place I've seen one of those is at I was going to say Duxford, but Duxford. So they've got one in that big American hall up at Duxford, in the Imperial War Museum there. MiG-21, probably another Polish knockoff, maybe Czech, who knows.
Well, there was sort of Czech tanks as well, weren't there?
Yeah, I think there's a Czech BMP in there somewhere. But that's got to be the best, hasn't it? That's got to be the best bit of display of the Lightning, just going straight
Lightning
up.
hanging from the roof is just amazing. It's really stunning.
Yeah,
got a good photo of you standing underneath it.
Yeah, yeah, just watching it up, and then this thing in the back. Leopard 1. Surprising it's not been refurbed and sent to the Ukraine. It's just the whole Cold War.
They've got those second-hand ones from Belgium they've sent, haven't they?
Yeah, they've sent enough, haven't they? And whole Cold War thing going on, and of course the Vulcan. Everybody's got a Vulcan. Oh, this is a nice shiny one, and
the Vulcans in there, wasn't there?
Fairy Delta from memory. Just that's the kid has made that, hasn't it? Someone designed that on a. That's not a serious airplane. I think this is one of the best sort of toy box pictures of the lot, isn't it?
Yeah.
That angle, you've got everything in there, and a lot of things that you can make from Airfix as well. I'm not sure I'd ever be able to actually even now afford to buy a Vulcan bomber kit. You build it, and it's actually there's not a lot to it. It's quite simple, and there's not many bits, and then it would just be enormous, wouldn't it?
And then there was another shed full of helicopters.
Yep. Yeah, I think. Oh, you missed the Red Arrow socks as well, Dave. That's one of the key highlights of it, which we didn't do. So you had that, which is a US Special Forces Jolly Green Giant. At the back, paved low, guns in the back, and then we went across into this other shed that had that kind of post-war racing Spitfire.
Yeah, that's really nice with the loads of props on it.
Yeah, with the extra thing, that was beautiful. And this is James May. You see, it looks a little bit like it. This is the Airfix kit.
Not the Lego, no, it's the Airfix.
Airfix, yeah.
Airfix 1-1 scale with James May, yeah.
This is where all your duck egg blue paint went, Dave. Oh no, it must have gone underneath there, and that's a lot of those little tinlets, isn't it? to do that. To get in there. Proper Harrier. And
A Harrier with a strange nose on it.
yeah, that's the RAF one, wasn't it? Is that GR3, like one of the late models or something? And a proper Chinook, which, you know, living in London, we get those all the time up and down the Thames.
Over my house, you see them every few days. I get it's like Norfolk right behind me. It's constant flow of weird helicopters.
It pops in, doesn't it? And this particular one has been in every war, every major conflict.
Wasn't there one of the what's the Westland, whatever it was, that was in the Falklands?
Wessex, wasn't it, as well? There was a Wessex as well in there.
So it was the most used in combat or something.
Yeah, but it was a great museum. Really, really was good. I was really, really impressed. I think just with everything about it, really. It was
what are the other museums? Because there's that one. There's the one in London, but there's another one. Where's Duxford?
Duxford's up the M11, but that's the Imperial War Museum.
It's Cambridge.
Cambridge way, and it costs about £1 million to go in.
Okay. Right.
Just I took my kind of godson up there, and it was just like, oh, it was something like 60 quid for the two of us or something. It's just quite painful, whereas the RAF ones are free. But then we ended up in the bustling metropolis of Irvine.
Yes, no, we went up the motorway, and I think went over Shat Fell and all that, the highest road in Britain.
Yeah.
But I think we were bloody lucky because of the people who were at the competition, where the people who left Manchester about an hour behind us got stuck in traffic. So we did pretty well on timing. We did very well.
Yeah.
Oh, then we stopped off at the
museum of, and I don't know why I didn't take any photos of this, but it was the Museum of Exploding Porridge or something, wasn't it? It was the Devil's Porridge Museum.
The Devil's Porridge, exactly.
Which we just saw a brown sign for off the road to Irvine, and then we thought it's about 4:45 or 4:30, and I think we probably both needed the bathroom. Really,
it was also pissing down, wasn't it? And we thought,
we
were doing well for time.
Doing well for time. And if you see a sign for the Devil's Porridge Museum, you've got to go and have a look at it. And it turned out to be war related, which was completely mad. And it was like
it's the whole area, something like 9 mile factory for explosives during First World War.
Yeah, and there was so much.
The first women's football teams.
Yeah, there were so many people at the site. There were 2 leagues in operation, not 2 teams. There were 2 leagues with women's leagues, and it kind of had loads of that social history stuff that is normally quite boring because you just want pictures of tanks. But it was really good about, particularly sort of women in the workforce, but also there was all that stuff about how the licensing laws in the UK were basically down to the Irish navies building this site, which was completely insane. Because what was it? They imported loads of Irish navies. They'd all finish work at 5 o'clock on a Friday, jump on the train to Carlisle, and bribe the driver to go faster so they could get to Carlisle in time for a load of beers.
And they'd call ahead and have loads of whiskies and beers set up ready for them when the train came in.
Yeah. Was it the night of 1,000 whiskies?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. When they got some barman to put 1,000 whiskies ready on the bar for them just to come in and just get completely tanked. And I think the government had to introduce 11 o'clock pub closing in order to stop these navvies just getting completely blotto and ruining and losing the First World War effectively through doing it. But they used to use this factory was making cordite. There was a poster, wasn't there? It said, "Women of Glasgow, great jobs, good pay. This is not at all dangerous."
Yeah. So why have you built the factory as far away from the front, from anything, middle of nowhere?
Oh, absolutely middle of nowhere. It's a fascinating little museum. But this was the, I was going to say seafront, but wetland front in Irvine. with
There's a sort of
with the
little river,
mystery,
estuary, I
with
suppose you call it.
yeah, estuary, with the mystery James Bond secret facility
Yes,
hidden in it as well. That
the
was
house on the other side of the river.
the,
Which is,
but
no
you
one
couldn't get to it
to
because the
visit.
bridge had been taken up, hadn't it? It was just
Yeah.
some weird facility that it took us about a day to find out what it was. It just isn't Googleable or something. It doesn't really exist, but it's an attempt at some industrial heritage museum that never really worked. But this basically turned into a bird watching trip, didn't it, for a while?
We gave it a go. We tried. We could hear some curlew, which is always a good sound.
Yep.
Always a good sound.
Yep. I still think I saw one walking along the foreshore up that way, I think, for a while. And then first night was this.
I think that whole town could get some bird watching in if they fix the bridge, put it back, put an RSPB in there.
Yeah, a few hides, something like that. There was quite a lot of stuff. But this was the first night, so this was a menu that had all the usual pub favourites and then chicken and haggis pie. So we had chicken and haggis pie.
That's right, chicken and haggis pie. Yeah, that was all right. That was all right.
That was really nice. Yeah,
good beer.
Yeah,
that place was a little bit trying to be a bit chefy.
It was, wasn't it? Yeah,
good. And we met up with the usual suspects in there.
Yeah, the York lads and Fraser and those guys, and managed to have a few beers because we were all staying in the same B&B, which is a little bit weird. But maybe there's just not too many beers. Irvine was much smaller than I expected it to be, given what it was.
But isn't it the home of who's the woman who's the
first disgraced former leader or something like that?
Exactly, the disgrace. Well, they're all disgraced or about to be.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, I think they are. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Irvine was a nice place.
Nice little town. Yeah. And obviously, Alan had got some proper Scottish drinks in for the competition as well. I think his missus did a mean chili both days too, I think, which was quite good.
Chili was good.
Yeah. Lovely competition, but we'll talk about that another time. Then this was the big sky, bleak, or bleak-esque, but still amazing sandy beach if it was actually different weather.
It was a good dog walking beach, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think we kind of were short of a couple of Labradors, really, weren't we?
I took a couple of pictures of the strange dragon, which I thought looked like a rabbit.
Yeah, there was some odd sculpture stuff going on, wasn't there?
Yeah.
I think that was a very, very weird one. But no, I thought it was amazing. Ooh, just a bit with the lighting of it. See if I get that slightly more stable. But Nicola Sturgeon, that's who it is.
That's right.
And then the second night we went to I'm not sure whether it was a more fancy restaurant or not. It was really well reviewed, but when you see haggis spring roll with Ironbridge mayo,
the
niche, wasn't it? Yes, the niche.
I've got photos here as well. So I've got, we were drinking Isle of Arran Blonde.
Okay, Isle of Arran Blonde beer.
Yeah.
But you can't, if you see that on a menu, it's pretty tough to ignore, isn't it?
Exactly.
I would have thought. And here we go. There it is.
The highlight of the whole weekend was
cracking open the haggis spring roll. Let's do that one again. Let's just do that one again.
Very.
You can hear the crunch, can't you? See the little bits of haggis. Ready? And it was actually surprisingly good. So good that you bought something. You tried to take some.
Well, they gave me some Irn-Bru mayo to bring back, but we decided it's inedible having been in the boot for 3 days.
Yeah, for 3 days, that's a little bit much, wasn't it? And then, the sort of bleak Scottish. But this was July, very, very northern, big skies.
It wasn't great when it wasn't.
But it stayed light for quite light, till quite late. This must have been quite late at night. There you go. The lights.
It was just a very Scottish seaside town.
Yeah, that's kind of as good as it gets. But then on the way back after the competition, we stopped in Carlisle on a Sunday night, which isn't necessarily something I'd recommend doing again. The restaurant was all right, wasn't it?
The food was good. The beer was good.
Good. and then we ended up in the
I've never
Wetherspoons,
had
I
flights
think.
before. That was something you introduced me to. Flights. Never seen them before.
Yeah, yeah, little flight of beers, and but the main reason was to go to Halstead's and the sort of
The
along the
Roman Army
Paddington's Wall.
Museum.com.
Yeah, yeah, RomanArmyMuseum.com, and yeah, they knew to get those URLs when they're in the Roman Army, didn't they? Get them in early.
I thought
This
the
was kind of
Roman Army Museum was kind of weird with all the sort of reenactors,
yeah, yeah,
waxworks, and
yeah. This cavalryman was the first one. It was like, and I don't know. Sometimes you think these waxworks are going to be a bit crap, but actually, I really warmed to these ones. I thought they were pretty good, and maybe that's just because they look like the Armies and Enemies book ones so much.
they do look exactly. I like the guy on the horse. He's got the arrows in his shield.
Yeah, yeah, he's riding around in the back, and
The horse is well animated.
yeah, yeah, all sorts of good stuff. And what else? So you had the guy in the old Lorica, with a pretty classic shield as well.
I've got a picture of the centurion with his stick made of, what's it called? Vine stick. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Okay, all right. And then there's an auxiliary with corduroy trousers by the looks of it, and
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. Little
golden
plaid
belt.
trousers.
Yeah, and that little thing to protect the vital regions.
Yeah.
But no, I'm not sure I'd paint the back to my shield bright red, but interesting thing. But it was a surprising. Then
Evidence that they painted all sorts of weird things inside their shields. Yeah.
yeah, okay. And here's you in the tent where
Yeah.
by all accounts they normally get all the soldiers in, and the centurion would give a video address to them in case he couldn't be there in person. So it's like an early Zoom meeting, I guess. But
I've forgotten what the name of the bloody the Latin name for the tents was the unit, the small unit.
okay.
Let's have a look. Roman Army tents. Hang on, Roman Army tents was called. Oh, blimey! They had all sorts of different sizes of tents.
Of course they did. There'd be all sorts of different things.
One here, second hand, €509.
What, on eBay?
Yeah,
just for sale. Wow. Okay. And set of helmets.
Yeah,
that one's pretty cool, isn't it? But I don't know if those are acrylic fibers that they might not have had during the Roman era. They look pretty bright red. And this was this an archer's helmet or something, or cavalry? Eastern, definitely Eastern.
Yeah, because they had Eastern archers on the.
Yeah.
As we all
bit where you could
fixed toy soldiers.
Yeah, and you could do the draw weight on the bow, couldn't you, as well? And this sort of Eastern armor at the back, composite bow. Yeah. But this was the fascinating bit, wasn't it? The size of the ballista. That we were kind of wondering whether ballistas were actually Superman portable. You could, some of these you could almost imagine popping on your shoulder and us carting around. Never mind somebody who's a trained Roman soldier. So that idea of whizzing them around the battlefield, which always seems kind of nonsensical when you look at a 15mm or a 28mm figure, actually suddenly seems about right. Really?
Yeah,
I think. Yeah, I thought they were great.
I'd love to have. There was some pictures of them being used as well. There's been
yeah, because somebody had made these as kind of exact replicas fairly recently, and worked out, but they were surprisingly man portable. There you go. There's some of the chainmail armor as well, which was pretty heavy. You would have needed that padded t-shirt underneath for sure to get that done. And a full set. You've got the Eastern scale armor, some steel, not as shiny as I'd probably paint it, and then much more grey, and sort of chainmail. In there. The other shields. I don't think I've seen Little Big Man do that design.
It's a different. Yeah, it's definitely different.
Yeah. And the ancient British chariot.
We like the chariot.
Yeah, you got to have the chariot, haven't you? And then this was we're actually onto the fort itself, or the fort and the settlement.
Which is just down the road, wasn't it? About 10 minutes down the road.
Yeah. So what was because I was just like slightly gobsmacked by how much is still there of that floor plan. I thought it would be much more of an archaeological site, but there's a lot of an awful lot of it. It must have been, even the encampment outside was brick built and stone and really substantial.
Different forts from different eras as well. And I like that there was you could see the quarry up on the hillside where they quarried out to create it.
Yeah, because wasn't the story that they'd sort of marched over here and then gone, we're building it here? And it didn't seem a particularly kind of clever military place to build it, because it was sort of in a valley in a way. You kind of think there would have been, it almost felt like it was this, we've marched 40 miles, we're building it here, that's it.
I don't think it was a fighting fort, it was just a headquarters from sending troops out into.
Yeah. But they knew an awful lot about it.
Yeah, the wall was altogether it was just a border. It really was just a border.
Yeah. It's a huge, great site that you can kind of roam around across.
And the rebuilt bit of wall was nice. We like that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we got some bits of that. So it was, but they even knew what, had managed to work out pretty much what every building was as well, wasn't it? The pub was just right by the gates of the fort.
Yeah, the Vicus.
The Vicus.
And there was an awful associated with it.
And there was quite a lot of talk about drainage and toilets, wasn't there?
There was indeed. Yeah.
It's a very toilet-based tour, I think, that we had from the guide.
A lot of visitors. There were a lot of visitors there.
Yeah. And then I think it's one of yours. They knew which cohorts and detachments had been.
Who'd been there? The Gauls and the various units.
Batavians, some Germans.
Dutch.
Yeah, the Dutch for about 300 and something years. So it was like a proper, that's a long time for that fort to have just been there. And then the museum itself, which is kind of down a hill, you've got to, you're not going to miss it because you're there, but you don't think it's there to start with. Had some crazy stuff.
There's a little temple there.
Yeah. Just a second. So it was there's also there's those little temples outside it, wasn't it? But this kind of crazy horse head thing.
Horse arms, because it's all I think there's a lot of cavalry on the wall because they had to get around to sort of move her up and down, and they've always found lots of parade stuff.
Yeah.
So this was all parade armor because they do little competitions and throw toy sticks at each other and things. Yeah.
There's all sorts of bits and bobs in that, and I like this one where it said they use psychological warfare to frighten their enemy, but here's a load of spears. Which would probably frighten you a bit more, the push you in submission for that. Then this was also good, wasn't it? This was the earliest known engraving of a cock and balls graffiti in Britain, I think. But what the Roman soldiers done, they had this on like pride of place in the museum. And then dodgy dice. That's not a new thing either.
Gotta have those.
Yeah. Which is all good. And I think you'd notice it was 6 times if it was there. And so that's it. 6 comes out. And then this rather amazing
bit of glass.
This rather amazing piece of glass as well.
With the gladiators, isn't it?
Yeah, the gladiator. They'd found this in pieces in the drains all the way around the camp. I think because it's just been chucked in the drain
to put it back together again.
Yeah, but they keep finding different bits because they're just sort of washed around the drain, and they're trying to reassemble it. But it's an amazingly detailed, delicate piece thing. And this was just in the pub, wasn't it? This was like a beaver town glass, really, in some ways. I think that guy had a bad day, but whether he'd been stitched back together at some point. I think that's one of yours. Do you remember that? What was the story on that one? Was it just he dead?
That was somebody that I think they found this guy in a ditch and he'd had his head beaten.
Yeah.
something
It's
like,
obviously been,
I think it was, there was some story. I think it's quite a young person or something. They just, they
yeah,
reckon it's somebody been murdered on the site,
yeah. They just kind of left him.
been disposed
Yeah,
of in secret, sort of thing.
exactly. And then finally, this is your kind of reconstructed fortlet, wasn't it?
Yeah,
With the brick
brilliant.
and the original woodwork and the brick. But I just thought it was a cracking site, really. There was so much there, and the Roman Army Museum was actually well worth going to.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It looked really tiny to start with, didn't it? It looked like it might be a bit meh, but
I thought
combined with the
it's
two,
really impressive to go from Carlisle, which is sort of, you see that it is the narrowest part of Britain, and
yeah,
it wouldn't have taken long to get, even walking, which I know
yeah,
people are all doing that. You think actually this is, you can see why it was there and
yeah,
how small a distance it actually really is.
yeah. But even though that date line of, they were there for 325, nearly 400 years, that's putting down some pretty solid roots, isn't it? It's not just popping up and building a wall and then going away. That's you're part of the country. You're part of.
The army was there to. I mean, getting people to become Roman was part of the deal, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
The thing about the tents, contubinium. So
Contubinium, that was it. Yeah, the
unit of 8
Contubinium tent.
soldiers. So
Yeah,
that's where they put their tent.
yeah. No. So I think all in all, we ticked a lot of boxes there. We did a bit of industrial history. We did some First World War history. We did aeroplanes. We did some gaming, a bit of bird watching. We had haggis 2 nights running in a more
Iron brew
contemporary form.
mayonnaise,
Iron
highlight.
brew mayonnaise, everything, and some odd local pubs, and then hit it with a very big dose of Roman history at the end. But it's a bloody long way away, isn't it? I think I was hoping that we might be able to go somewhere after this on the way back down to London, but we ended up basically just driving back down about 6 hours.
It's a long drive for you.
Long time from Newcastle. There wasn't really time to stop off in maybe in somewhere for Newark, maybe for some English Civil War that I was thinking about, but no, just not really did time. So I think that's something. There's certainly more of the wall, although unfortunately that tree's been cut down, hasn't it? Which is just
Oh yeah. Well,
yeah, nutters, isn't it? There's always some idiot somewhere, isn't there? So
it sounds a bit strange to me, that one.
yeah, no, something weird has gone on with that, hasn't it? But I'm sure more will come out on it.
Although
But yeah,
too much Kevin Costner involved, I think.
yeah, that's always going to put people off. So there you go. That's the non-gaming bit of Roman and other history that you managed to fit around gaming events if you pick the right ones to go to. So I think on that note,
to go back having got the bloody trophy.
yes, exactly. Yeah, we've won some trophies that may well need. No, I don't think these ones need to be taken back. But
the one
you've got one that needs to be taken back.
I've got the bloody Sigian Duh itself.
You have the Sigian Duh itself as doing well. So
we almost lost the bit of plastic. Well, oops.
Yes, we found it in the boot again. So so this is a fort we shall probably return to, or try and find some other spots on Hadrian's Wall, and take a more powerful pair of binoculars next time as well.
Yeah, there's more things to do up there.
There's plenty more to do up there, isn't it? Yeah. Just plans. We'll have to find somewhere else to stop on the way.
I think there's a lot more Roman stuff up there. There's more forts. There's forts further south. There's Ribchester. I think is it Ribchester? I think.
Yeah, I think we went past that, didn't we? Yeah. So there's more Roman stuff to do, definitely. But it is pretty rich.
Neck of the woods, really. So
yeah. Okay. All right. Well, look, that's hopefully given you a tour of mine and Dave's Wargaming Holiday Snaps, the latest selection, and we will return with yet more sporadic video or normal podcasts as we start getting slowly back into the swing of it over the next few months with different events to go to. And
we're going into the winter now, so longer nights.
Longer nights makes it easier to do some video chatting and podcasting. So
we'll have to do a pod of the actual games involved in this.
We actually will. Yeah. Well, I think we've got Lisbon
Oh
talk
yeah,
about.
you're in Lisbon. Yeah. Well,
We'll have to do
I'd
something on
rather
Lisbon.
overlook that, especially our
Right.
team performance.
Yeah, yeah. That was a mixed ability group, I think, that team.
It was
No, I'm writing up the Lisbon reports as we speak, so they will be out shortly. But this one will be out along with the photos from the Roman Museum. So there you go. Done deal. So thank you, and we will see you again soon.
Speak soon. No,
Right.
more to
Bye.
come.